Hey guys, what's up? It's iFlynn here. Today we're going to be taking a look at Nidus' new augment called Larva Burst. Now, this augment is not going to completely change how you play Nidus, right? So it's not one of those augments that you 110% have to go out of your way to get. It's just one of those okay augments which allows you to do something which, it's like a quality of life thing, right? It's not really anything too drastic or too insane. I more use this augment just because it allows me to toggle my second ability on and off rather than just waiting for the ability to run out whenever I cast it, right? So basically what the augment does is it allows you to detonate your larva by recasting it. So if we read the little description here, reactivate larva to detonate and deal 300 toxin damage in 5-meter range. This damage stacks for every enemy grabbed in the larva. So basically the thought process behind this, the more enemies you have within your one grab of the larva, the more damage this is going to deal. And I'll try to demonstrate that. I don't think it scales with the amount of stacks you have on your Nidus, like the toxin damage that you get whenever you reactivate it. But it doesn't really seem to be dealing too much damage, but it deals a decent amount of damage, so I don't know if I would mod for it necessarily. I might opt for something like maybe a blind rage, like a free from the top blind rage over this. I don't know. It's really down to the player whether or not they see this as a augment which fits into their build. It's whether or not they want to recast, and it's whether or not they want to deal toxin procs. It's okay. I'm not going to say it's underwhelming because it's just not an augment for me personally, but I can see why people may like it. I don't think the damage is too insane, and I think just modding more power strength for your Nidus is 1, and then obviously the health regen and the 4 and stuff like that, just having more power strength on would be more beneficial. So I usually use a blind rage on Nidus because you get all of your energy back whenever you're hitting multiple enemies with your one anyway. So running blind rage, in my opinion, there's literally no downside. So I would run blind rage over this Larva Burst augment. That's just me personally. I would have it free from the top, so obviously I have a little bit of efficiency in there. Well, 90%. It's not quite 100%, but it's still pretty decent. So that would take me up to 287% power strength there. But, throwing the augment back on, I'm just going to go ahead and show you guys the effects. Like I said, I don't think this is an augment which is too insane, but then again, you guys can be the judge. So let's go ahead and spawn in 20 corrupted heavy gunners, and we're just going to play Nidus like we normally play Nidus. So what you would do is you'd cast your 2 in the middle of the enemies, and then you would start building your stacks by hitting them with your 1, and as you build the stacks, you're going to be dealing more damage. Once you have enough stacks to cast your 3, you would cast your 3 in the enemies, and this allows you to build even more stacks faster because you have your first ability coming out of the enemy that you link to as well. Now, you want to get as many enemies as possible inside your little larva here. That way, whenever you recast it by pressing 2 again, then you're going to be dealing more damage. So we're going to wait for all the enemies to get close, and we're just going to continue building their stacks. You're going to notice that the damage on our 1 is scaling up as usual, but I don't think, I honestly can't really tell if the damage on the toxin procs or whenever we recast the 2 scales up with the stacks we have. It might just be based off the the amount of enemies that we have inside. So you see, whenever we recast it, the enemies kind of go up in the air, which is alright, I guess. It's a cool mechanic that you have. Sometimes it struggles to take them back in for whatever reason. It's kind of weird. It's just a weird bug that I experienced there, I think. But, it's an alright augment. You can recast it, and it allows you to just recast and get more enemies in. Might be worth modding for a little bit of range here and there, just so you can grab more enemies in with the initial pull if you're to. But honestly, I don't really know if I would run the augment just for the ability to recast and proc toxin procs. I'd rather just have more initial damage on my first ability and kill the enemies that way. Combine that with my 4th ability like so. That's going to take 10 stacks. That gives me health regen. Also deals damage to the enemies and stuff like that. And just kind of allows you to spam, your first ability, right? So, get a lot of kills, build a lot of stacks, do the stuff and things. Deal a ton of damage. Obviously, it's not going to kill these enemies super fast because you don't have anything like slash procs or anything like that in there, and there's nothing stripping away the enemy's armor. It's just raw damage coming from this ability, so it's good at the fact that it scales up and stuff like that with the amount of enemies that you have inside it. But I don't know. I honestly don't see the toxin procs being that beneficial whenever it comes to really high-level enemies. And it just, in my opinion, makes for a kind of underwhelming augment because, like I said beforehand, you do have things like slash procs, corrosive procs, which are going to help you deal more damage to enemies, over a shorter period of time than something like a Toxin procs, because Toxin procs, they kind of just deal damage to the enemy's health directly, whereas something like a Viral proc is going to reduce the enemy's maximum health, or something like a what's it called, a Slash proc is going to eat away at the enemy's health and just like take chunks of it out at a time. So I don't know, it's kind of down to the player whether or not they want to run this augment. Personally, I don't find it too worthwhile. It might just be me, but meh, it's okay. Like I said, I prefer to have my Blind Rage on there and then build my stacks up and then deal more damage with the Blind Rage from the 1. So just to kind of show you, we go ahead and we throw Blind Rage on over Larva Burst, free from the top. We're going to be dealing more initial damage, so if we go ahead and we kill all these guys, we spawn them in again, we get all of our energy back, we cast our 2 in the middle of these guys, like so, and then we just go ahead, continue with building their stacks, link to an enemy, and keep on building them. You'll see that our damage rallies up a lot faster with this build, and we deal more initial damage just by pressing our 1 than we would if we had Larva Burst on. So it's weighing the pros and cons of like just wasting, I guess, technically, that mod slot, whether or not you view that as a waste, I guess. So the only downside now is because we don't have Larva Burst on, we can't go ahead and we can't recast our second ability, so we have to like position it in a way that it's going to suck in the most enemies with every single cast. Then we have to wait the full like 12-second duration I think I have on this build to kind of just, you know, suck all the enemies in and continue building my stacks, right? So of course, the more enemies you have inside the larva, then the more stacks you're going to build with every single cast of your 1. So you can see how the damage is scaling up. We're dealing like 4.5k damage here, 4.6k, until we eventually get to our 100 stacks and we get the cool looking little symbol down in the bottom right hand corner. You can see it. But yeah, we deal a decent amount of damage with Nidus. All of his abilities work in conjunction with one another, and I just don't think Larva Burst is an augment which is necessarily super beneficial whenever it comes to this type of playstyle, I guess, just having the scaling damage. I think it kind of hinders it, because you're not getting as much damage with every single cast of your 1. That may just be me, though. And, yeah, so you can see these enemies dying quicker with this type of build than they were with, you know, our other builds. So, I don't know. Those Toxin procs just don't really add up for me. Maybe if it was a different proc, it'd be cool. Maybe if it was a Viral proc, might be a little bit too strong. I don't know. But that's down to Digital Extremes to sort of decide, so I don't know. Personally, I don't know. Toxin procs is kind of meh. It's kind of meh. Nidus is a cool frame, but I recommend going with this build over using Larva Burst. It's just, in my opinion, not that good of an augment. So take it or leave it. Have your own opinions on it. It's definitely a quality of life augment. Kind of underwhelming, at least for me. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Go ahead and let me know what you guys think of the Larva Burst augment. If you've used it, if you picked it up, if you think it's good, if you think it needs a little bit of a tweak, if you think maybe they could change the status effect that's on it to make it a little bit better or more appealing. Let me know what you would do with it to kind of change it up. And other than that, that's really it for this video. If you liked it, go ahead and hit that like button below. If you want to see more Warframe content from me, hit subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.